guys, and welcome to this next tutorial in the Absolute Beginners series. So I'm just literally picking off from the last tutorial, which was just the how to do a slip knot and chain. So if you needed to still learn that before you move on to your double crochet, just knit back and have a look at that one, and you will literally finish where I am now, and then you can come back to this and be ready to move on. So I've done just a chain. You can chain as many as you want to practice this. You could do 6, you could do 26, just as many as you wanted. But once you've completed a chain, we're going to do double crochets. Now remember, this is double crochet UK terms. In the US, your stitches are different. This would be your single crochet. So it is very confusing. Once you've come to the end of your first row, you want to start working back across the chain that you've created. And you do this by missing this first stitch here, this one here, and we're going to work into the second chain from the hook. So this is the first chain, and we're going to work into this one just here. And you're going to insert your hook into the top of that chain, just here like this. And then you're going to grab your yarn. So this again, if you remember, is your yarn over. So you will hear that referenced all the time. So a yarn over is just to grab your hook and grab your yarn and pull through, and you will then have 2 loops on your hook. And then you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through both of the loops on your hook. So remember, you need to keep things nice and loose at this point. You don't want to be pulling on any part of your yarn too tightly, otherwise it will make your stitches too hard to pull through. So that is our very first double crochet. And then you would move on to your next stitch, which is this chain stitch just here. And again, you would insert into the top of that stitch here. And then again, you will yarn over and pull up. So you've now got 2 loops on your hook. And again, you're going to yarn over and pull through both of those loops that are on your hook. So then we've now got 2 double crochets. And again, you're going to insert into the next stitch along and yarn over, and then yarn over and pull through both. We now have 3 double crochets. And you're just going to continue that all the way along. You're going to yarn over and pull up, so you've got 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. So at the end of this we should have 10 stitches, purely because I chained 11 in the previous tutorial. So I'm going to work my way all the way along doing this double crochet. Now if you want to pause or rewind and watch again until you get the hang of this double crochet, then do so now, but I'm just going to work all the way to the end of my row doing this, and then I will have 10 double crochets at the end. So I've got 2 stitches there now left to work into. So that's 1, and then I've got 1 more stitch before that slip knot. And there you have it. That is your very first row of double crochet. So double crochet are notoriously hard to count, but I will just do it very quickly with you now. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then your 10th stitch just there. So that is 10 double crochets. So if you've stuck with me and you've done that, then huge well done. And if you want to now, you can just keep working this up. So you absolutely definitely need to do at least 2 rows of practice, just so that you get used to how to catch this last stitch at the end when you work your way back across. So to move on to a next row of double crochet, you want to yarn over and pull through, and then that is a chain 1. And now you turn your work when you crochet, so you turn around your work and then you work back along. So that chain 1 that we just did there, that does not count as a stitch in our sample piece. So you want to insert your hook into the base of where you've just come out from, which will be this very first stitch here, and you want to insert your hook into that stitch. Now when you work your way back along a foundation chain, you only work into the tops of your chain. Again, that is preference, you can work under 2 if you wish to, but when you're working your way back across for your double crochet, you need to make sure that you go through the whole of the top of the stitch, and that means you will get a little V on the top of your hook, which looks like this. So you're then going to yarn over and pull up, and then again you've got your 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through both. So that is your first double crochet of your second row. And again you're going to go into the top of the next stitch, so it's just here, and again you want to make sure that you have got the V, as you can see there, and then you're going to yarn over and pull up, and yarn over, pull through both, so that is 2, and then again into the top of the next stitch, that's 3, top of the top of the next stitch, just here, and that will be 4, and the next one, that will be 5, and you're just going to do that all the way along until you make sure that you've got 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, and your 10th stitch, everybody struggles at first with counting stitches and making sure that they don't miss stitches at the end of their rows. It is something that everybody has to practice. Nobody gets it straight away. But you can see this end here is nice and straight, and we've done 9 stitches along, so we know we need a 10th stitch, and that has to go into the top of this very end stitch here. So when you're practicing, do a small swatch so you can keep track of your stitches really easily. So for that very end stitch, again, you want to make sure that you get your V across the top here, and then complete your double crochet. And you can see we now have a nice straight edge. You will know pretty quickly if you are dropping stitches, because your work will begin to turn into a triangle basically. But that is the end of your second row, and again, to move on to your next, if you wanted to keep practicing, you're going to chain 1 and you're going to turn, and then you would work your way back along in exactly the same way as we just did for row 2. So you chain 1 never counts as a stitch when you're keeping track of your stitches for this sample piece. That is literally just a turning stitch. So again, I'm going to just quickly work another row. So I'm going to go in that very first stitch, and I'm going to do my double. So that is my first double crochet of this row. And then 2, again, I'm making sure I'm catching the V at the top. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then again I've got my 10th stitch to work into at the end here. So you do, at the beginning, it is very handy to count out loud if you need to, just so that you know you're finishing with as many stitches as you need to. So that now is 3 rows of double crochet. So you can see it looks nice and neat. The edges are nice and straight, but if you want to keep going with that, I'm going to just do a couple more rows now, just so that you can see how it works up the more rows that you do. But just keep practicing, and I'll meet you back in a minute. So I've just done 10 rows now of double crochet. You can see that my edges are still nice and straight, and I definitely still have 10 stitches in every row. I just wanted to do a few extra rows just so that you can see how it should be looking, and then if I was to finish off this, I would just yarn over and pull through, and then snip my yarn and pull it out like that, and then just pull it tight, and that is just how you would finish off. And then you would sew in your ends, but I will be doing a separate tutorial on what I do with my ends and how I do it, so you might want to check back later for that tutorial. But I really hope that you've learned from this tutorial, and if you have, just give me a quick thumbs up, and remember to find and follow me on Instagram as well if you wanted to. The links for all of my social media are down in the description box below. But thank you guys very much for watching. I really hope it's been beneficial and that you've now got the crochet bug and you can watch some of my other tutorials. But thanks guys, and I'll see you again very soon.